Hello, mayors. Hello, mayoresses. How are you all doing? I hope you're well. We're here to start another episode of Bahia de Barbosa. I hope you're enjoying this series, and let's go for another episode expanding our state here. Well, we're enjoying this amazing view here on the water at the port of our city of Los Angeles, our Californian city. If you like this series, please leave your like here at the beginning of the video. Enjoy the skyline of our American cities. If you haven't subscribed yet, I ask you to consider subscribing as well. Let's reach 100,000 subscribers together, and I'm counting on your support. If you have the option to hype as well, I would be very grateful if you hyped this video, all right? So let's get to today's content. We still have thousands of notifications without buyers for the collectives, but as we've already seen, I believe it's a bug. Actually, I think the market is doing fine, because this was the first one I opened that isn't making a profit, but let's check another one nearby. Look, this one is making a profit, this one is making a profit, this one is making a profit. Anyway, most of the businesses there are profitable, so I don't know if the persistence of this notification is a bug or not. Anyway, we're trying to bring more people to our state, but what gets in the way? One thing leads to another. I can't bring more people. Our unemployment rate is high and it used to be lower, but it's going up again. What I really need is to create more jobs, and what creates more jobs is industrial demand, as we can see, and that's even why this mega industrial district was created here. But even so, with 43,000 employees, it's still not enough. The problem is that we don't have many areas left to develop an industry of this magnitude. And honestly, I didn't want to start another batch of episodes developing an industrial district like this. I wanted to be able to focus on our bridge and port downloadable content, build our port here. I wanted to be able to focus on the French city with the French content expansion pack, and also finally finish our American island. But we have to meet the demand, otherwise the city will go bankrupt. That's why I'm thinking about coming back here again, our Asian area, because here, man, it's the only space we have to develop. The Japanese city I said I would develop, and our Chinese city, which was already sketched out a few episodes ago, which turned out really cool with this island, between the rivers and with the temple, right? So I believe we can develop an industry here and make it the industry that will develop the region. And it will also separate the two cities, the Chinese city and the Japanese city, over here, right? So let's try to create this mega industry. As you've already seen, right? The creation of an industrial district like this is a somewhat complex process that takes time. Maybe I won't finish it in this episode, but we're going to prepare the land so that this new complex can get off the ground. Here, the space is a bit more complicated because it's a little tighter. We can notice the terrain here. Here's a very narrow section, and it's kind of a U-shaped space. And we have to make the most of this U to house our industries. Let's start with the access points. Well, I was thinking about building a U-shaped highway right here at the foot of the mountain and making it up here next to this mountain instead of this mountain down here. Why? First, because here the route would be shorter. And second, because at this end of the U, I would want to extend a tunnel to connect here with our Eastern European city. Yes, the forgotten Eastern European city, which I didn't continue here because it's a very tight space, which I thought would be enough to build a city. And it turned out I could only make a small city, a really small one actually. What is my intention? If this new industrial district meets the job vacancies of our city, I'm going to expropriate this small industry that employs 15,000 workers to expand all of this here, like an Eastern European city. And then I would even take advantage of this layout, as if they were actually deactivated and demolished industries for the construction of a more residential city. And then this city would even be kind of connected to our future port. These are the plans for this part of the city. So let's start developing the industries, creating jobs, increasing the population demand to supply this customer market, and then, yes, justify a megaport here to supply this product market. So one thing leads to another, and consequently, we keep filling up our cities here and finishing them. Well, let's get to the industry, stop talking, and get our hands dirty. Well, I'm going to turn on the topography tool here so we can observe the foot of the mountain better in a better way. And then I'm going to connect this map exit and this highway with this highway that will give access to this entire eastern part of the map. I'm going to remove a few of these trees here as well so we can get a better view of the terrain. I'm going to turn on the parallel mode so we can already make a dual highway, and I'll start curving and going around the base of the mountain here. Here is the outline of this U shape on the mountain, and then the access to the Chinese city over here. All right, now there's easy access to this road, but anyway, back when I was creating this Chinese city, I thought about making an expressway here on the side of the city, going straight to the port, a direct connection from the highway to this more port area. So what I would do is this: take a 4-lane, 2-way road and build it over this avenue here and take it all the way toward the port. So we would have this overpass here, which is something very, very common in Chinese cities, right? By getting onto this road here, you already have direct access to the port. But we can still make things easier by applying lane mathematics, by adding an entrance and an exit here. Man, maybe here, pulling from this lane, I can't connect directly without it glitching. Look how glitchy it gets, right? I think I'll have to make this ramp a little more to the side here. There we go, now it's perfect, so it doesn't glitch. And here too, same thing. We make this little curve here a bit to the right? To be able to connect down there to the road, and the same thing on the other side. All right, it's done here, right? The little ramp is fine, the access, and here, man, we have 2 lanes turning into 1. I'm even thinking about extending a viaduct, bringing it out here and connecting it, I think, to this avenue. Do you think we can pull off this Chinese trick? Look, the game let me pull it here. Actually, I would have to put it at a slightly higher level, right? Kind of overlapping. This passage here is 10 meters. So I think we can go up another 5 meters here and bring an exit over here, see? Look, we have this exit here. I'll make a straight line here and maybe start a descent here. All right, another access is done here, right? Whoever wants to go to the port takes this road. Whoever wants to go to the city takes this other road. And here, I think I'll even put a roundabout. That's something I saw quite a lot in China. Although I think this might cause problems in the future, but let's leave it like this for now, right? Yeah, that's not the focus here, not today's episode. I'm just adjusting these accesses, right? Here, see? I even think this is going to be a case of a mega intersection, right? Because we have to connect the expressway, the highway, right, to this overpass, to the avenue down here. And I think I was even wanting to put another exit here in this part where the river begins, and then with this avenue, right? Make a connection here and bring an entrance to the industry and then to the highway here, right? Make a connection at about this point in the process, but that will be for later. What we really need in this episode is this connection here, right? Because it's the one that will connect the rest of our state, that's why it's going to be important. So I'm going to delete the train track and also both directions of the highway to work on this intersection here. It's going to be a Y intersection, right? Since we have 3 ends. But I was thinking, since we're going to have a Japanese city here in the future, maybe the ideal would be for it to have 4 ends, right? Not 3. Maybe we could leave an entrance to the city, right? Over here. Okay, cool. Here we have 4 points to join them at an intersection. The intersection here is going to be tough. I'm even going to add some extra lanes at these ends so we can make use of the lane math. When making the accesses, well, I think the main directions would be from here to here and from here to here. So I'm going to take 2 out of these 5 lanes to make this main direction. So the idea is to make a direct and simple connection like this, you see? Then we connect these 2 parts, and here it's the same thing. However, I think I'm going to put it at the underground level. So I'll start the descent here, make a crossing, and connect it to the other side, right? It actually turned out pretty nice. Well, now let's make the simpler connections, which are always the straight ones, right? Connecting from here to there is easy. Same thing. From here to there is fine, and from here to here is also simple. We have 3 lanes in each of them, right? I'll connect all 3 now, so that I can at least... Look, these traces from the connections will help me later, right? To make these accesses here, see? To make it easier to return, okay? So how do I do it? Look, I take the output here and set it to simple curve mode. Then I try to find it, see? The dashed line here is a bit tricky. And then, look, I bring it to this angle here, see? To get it closer to 180 degrees. Found it. But then I lost the trace here, so I have to keep looking for where they meet here. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can disable snap to cell size in the area. Here, this one too, so it doesn't keep snapping, okay? I'm losing this dashed line here, but I know it comes roughly up to here. So sometimes you can just eyeball it, okay? When you lose the dashed line, you click and drag it over there. Oh, it's not this one. I was confusing it with another dashed line. The problem is, there will be a bunch of dashed lines. It's this one here. Then I click and drag it over there. All right, then it will fit perfectly at the entrance. And this shape actually turned out pretty nice, right? It's a bit different. It looks like a kite here. And then on this kite, I'm going to make some curves here at the ends to create the access points. So I come here, select the continuous curve tool, and then I make this turn. And over here too, look, I come here, continuous curve. I make the turn here before entering the tunnel, and I'll mirror this on all the corners, okay? Later, I'll adjust the handles here. But for now, the important thing is for you to create the road. I think this is the last one here. So, all right, the 4 access points are done. Well, this is going to work as follows. Oh, there's one missing here. Look, this is going to work as follows. Check it out. It's the guy who's here, right? He wants to turn left. What does he have to do? He'll have to stay in this lane and then he'll exit here. So here we need an asymmetric road. So here we have, look, a 3-lane asymmetric road. Look, the guy will enter here and here he'll be able to exit this way. And then he can go outside the map. So it's this one, look, the path going around here. With this, what did we avoid doing? An overpass. Because the way I was doing it before, right? We would build an overpass here, look, going straight over there. But then, look, I would have to cross this road, this road, this road, and this road to make an access here. And this way, we avoid building an overpass. We just need to adjust these entrances here too, right? Because whoever is here doesn't need to go out this way, right? So maybe it was even a bit of an exaggeration. 5 lanes, right? I think 4 here at the ends would do the job. Or we can make it asymmetrical. No, asymmetrical. We can do it like this and turn these accesses here, look, this one and this one, into 2 lanes. Anyway, I'll go ahead and work on these accesses here. So yeah, I'll come back after the cut, right? Because it's going to be kind of repetitive doing it in all 4 corners. All right, here it is, guys. Intersection here with 0 overpasses, right? Just 1 tunnel here, 2 tunnels actually, 1 for each direction. And I'll try to make the raw footage of this episode available so you can see all the work that went into editing this for the channel members. All right, I'm just waiting for YouTube to approve the new feature. But if you're interested in seeing how the construction process is here without cuts, without editing, without anything, and on top of that, if you want to help the channel, you can become a member and get access to this content. All right? As soon as YouTube approves the new feature, I'll announce it here for you. Well, I'm going to install the train track now. I think we can have 2 branches. One over here, maybe more for cargo, or one over here, right, for passengers. Anyway, we'll decide that later. And I think it would also be interesting for us to set aside an area for the Japanese city, right? I believe this here is enough. Maybe not as big as you wanted it to be, right? But honestly, we're really running out of space. And I think we can make a new intersection here on this straight road, exactly to provide access to the industrial district, right? The side of the industrial district and the side of the Japanese city. So this would be the border here. Here's a simple intersection. I can even use this one. Look, that already comes with the game, which will work really well. I usually make the intersections manually, but only in exceptional cases, okay? For example, like this intersection here, right? When it's a simple intersection, I can use the game's built-in intersections here. No problem. Well, Now we have to connect them, right? The Eastern European city, all the way there, through a tunnel. I thought about making a road going up the mountain. I studied the terrain a bit, but man, it's really steep. I don't think there's no way to build a road going up here in the route, right? It's not even that long from one end to the other. It would be a tunnel that's not even that long, okay? So I'm going to take a 4-lane road here and I'm going to start this crossing. So I'm going to make an end here. I'll make another end on this other side and I'll connect the two directly. Well, I'm thinking here on this other side, right? In making an intersection coming out from around here and curving, right, over here, where we will start the tunnel in the mountain, maybe the beginning of this tunnel could be here. So I'll start here, look, in the last flat space. It could even be at the game's tunnel height, which is 12.5. Let's see, right? Let's see if we can connect one thing directly to the other here. I really miss the network multi-tool from Cities Skylines 1. I really hope that mod comes to Cities 2 someday. It would make this work a lot easier. Let's see. I found the dashed line there. I found the 180 degrees. And let's make this curve with a tunnel and connect it here. Look, let's see how it's going to turn out. I hope it doesn't glitch. It didn't glitch here. It has a dip in the slope of the terrain, so the tunnel ended up showing. And over here, man, it turned out perfect. It became like an amazing piece of work, this tunnel. Just that stretch over there that we can... Man, I feel like anything I touch here, is going to cause a terrible bug. It would be cool, right, to have a little bridge here coming out of one tunnel, a bridge, and going into the other tunnel. But if I update this here, maybe it won't turn out the way we're imagining. I'll delete it here. Let's see if I can do it. I'm going to try to take a little bit off this tunnel here and a little bit off this tunnel here so we can turn this little piece here, you see, into an exit with a little containment barrier and the rest, right? But it's considering everything else, man. I hope it doesn't bug. It's going to bug. Extending here, it's not bugging. Here it was okay. Now let's see here on this side. Here it left it more or less. So let's try to make the crossing here. Well, crossing allowed. Let's delete this here that we made to help us. Look, this side here turned out sensational, perfect. This here is the terrain that glitched a bit, but I think that just by using the landscaping tools here, we can work around the problem somehow. Well, I think it's a bit better. It's not perfect, right? But I think we managed to do it. So I left here from the Eastern European village. A first small tunnel, a bridge, and a second bigger tunnel to come out here. To finally connect here, look, the rest of the road network here on the other side in our Eastern Valley. Here, a new intersection will be needed. I'll try to build it really quickly here because, well, we've already built an intersection in this episode, but I think removing this part here, look, that's sticking out a bit from the mountain. Nothing too drastic. Smooth out the rest here. There we go. It doesn't even look like it was touched. From these 4 lanes, 2 going and 2 coming back, I'm going to bring one from each direction over here in the form of an overpass. I'll bring it over to the other side here, make the crossing. I think I'll even move a little further over here because we get more space to make a curve. A curve like this, and then actually, we can already start lowering this curve. It was 7.5 meters, I dropped it to 5 meters. And here's the last part of the curve, 2.5 meters. I think that's good. And the last 2.5 meters will be here for the access ramps. This one going out and this one coming in. There, it's done. Entrance in the exclusive lane, exit in the exclusive lane without Now I'm going to make the access from here. Look, there are 2 lanes left. This one goes here and this one goes here. Done. Quick intersection, easy, neat, when the access is simpler. But it's easy to do. Well, I think that lastly, we deserve an intersection here, right? Because this one will separate the industrial district from the Japanese city, and one here to separate the industrial district from the Chinese city. Maybe right on this curve here. It would be perfect here. Done, applied. Intersection applied here, access and connections. All right, one more little intersection here. I think this industrial district here won't even be bigger than the other one we made, but it will help with this huge demand. And now we can sketch out an avenue layout for this industry. I want to make an avenue, right? Cutting this stretch of road right down the middle, so I can get a sense of exactly where the middle is. I'm going to create a parallel road here to help me with this task. So from here to here, we have exactly 152 meters. So half of that is 76, which we don't have, right? We have 72 or 80 here. But it's around here. Look, I'm going to build the avenue here, and for now, it'll just be a simple intersection, right? But later, I think I'll have to make some access points here because it's a highway crossing an avenue. So the chances of traffic problems are pretty high. We'll take precautions for that later. Over here, I'm going to continue the avenue's layout. It can be a straight line. I'm going to use mostly straight lines here inside this industrial district because I think it's easier to fit the industries this way. And then later, I'll make a curve here, maybe even bring a big avenue straight over here, and in the future, connect it with this street that runs along the river, right? And also this avenue. Anyway, here we'll have to plan the city's entrances and exits in a really efficient way. So that's why there are all these loose ends here for us to work on later. From this other intersection, I'll also pull an avenue. Actually, these accesses to this industrial avenue, right, just like it is here, can be done with a highway, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be an avenue. And I'm still gonna make another little road here going around this mountain base here. Here, at the end of it, it will connect with this avenue with a lot of infrastructure works, right, happening all over the state, right? This part here, look, is between the heavy industry and the city, right? Around here, it doesn't necessarily have to be high density, heavy industry, right? We can also make some farm fields here. This transition will look nice, and this side road here, right? It will help with these farms, right? So it will connect here in a more direct way than the main avenue. This is the west side of the industries, kind of planned out, right? At least the framework is ready. Now we're working on the east industrial side, and I'm going to extend an avenue from this intersection. The cool thing is that here we can make a more organic industry, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be a super planned project, perfectly mirrored on both sides, right? Here it can be one way, there it can be another. We're not going to do it like we did that part of the map, right? This industrial complex that we built a few episodes ago, right? So I think it makes for a more organic industry. In a way, we need that, right? Because this one here too, it's kind of mirrored, really well planned. I think the only industry that's not like that here on the map is this one, right? That ended up kind of squeezed between the highways of the city of Los Angeles. Because even this industry here, look, from the German city, it's really nice, right? Pretty symmetrical, at least this part here. So we're going to have a more organic industry. And man, if this here isn't enough, there's no more space to build industry, right? You know, this is basically the last industry. Maybe I'll consider using some mod to recalculate industrial demand. Well, here we have a piece of mountain coming in. I don't think I'll even remove it. I think I'll make a tunnel. Let me see how this crossing could look. Something like this. Well, I'll start by creating the entrances and exits here because after so much time making tunnels in this game, I think I've finally gotten the hang of it. There we go. Yeah, I think I've gotten the hang of it after all. Entrance on this side is nice and easy. Entrance on the other side is also nice and easy. And here, I could do it, right? A curve going straight over here, right? But like I said, I'm trying to work as much as possible. Straight lines here inside the industrial district. So wherever I can work more with straight lines, that's what I'm going to do. Working with much tighter curves that take up less space. So always straight. Straight. Here too, really straight and smoothing out the curves here. Hey guys, it's basically finished here. Look, all the avenues that are going to make up this industrial district, right? Here we're even going to leave this part for the Japanese city. It's a reserved space. We'll look for our inspirations and more. Well, to finish, there's only one thing left, right? Connect, right? To actually get things going again in the city. It's about connecting the train track. So this track here, I brought it elevated here over the access ramps, and I'm going to use this part here to connect it to the exit of the map. I'm always going to try to make it kind of parallel with the roads, right? the railway parallel to the roads. So it doesn't clash too much with the design, right? Because it's something beautiful. And also so we can make good use of the space, right? Look, I think here we can keep it really parallel. Here we can curve it and be careful with the pillar here on the highway, right? Since the space here is going to be small, right, for a Japanese city, every bit of space saved is welcome, okay? So why not use a huge area that was set aside for vehicles, right, for traffic, to also serve, the railways? And there you go, it's done, right? A mega intersection with 4 highways and 3 railway branches. And man, this was only possible because we didn't build a car overpass here, right? That's why we were able to run the train tracks over here. So it's a project that's a success. We can already allow it to start here, right? And I hope it will be a success too, supporting both rail traffic and vehicle traffic. Well, and here's the first problem, right? Everyone who wants to access the rest of the city is using the access ramp, right? But up to that point, it's okay. Good thing I made it 2 lanes, right? I didn't leave just 1. Yeah, I believe this is traffic from people who were already spawned. And then, when I hit play, they had to recalculate the route and everyone got confused. But after this part, I believe it's going to get much better, okay? So, that's it. I wonder if anyone is going to use this crossing here connecting to the Eastern European village? Because before this tunnel existed, going around here was huge, okay? Really big. I believe we've cut several hours off the route. Let's see if anyone is already using it or about to use it. Not yet. Oh yes, there will be someone soon. Look, here, I believe it's this taxi driver here. He's about to take the new route. So, nothing more symbolic than following his trip to wrap up this episode. Entering the tunnel now, first-person view. Let's follow along here. First tunnel, then we'll have a bridge. We're going into the second tunnel. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this episode. You're amazing. You're awesome. Not everyone makes it this far, okay? Thank you so much to you who are already a member of the channel, right? You're part of the group of council members. You help this channel a lot, and we're always together. Don't forget to comment what you thought. A big hug, and see you next time. Follows with another new road here in Bahia de Barbosa, giving access to Vale Oriental. What a beautiful valley, huh?